Okay. I think it's working. Alright, cool. Is it working? It looks like everything's working. Yo, if anyone's in here, can you say something so that I know that I'm live? It says connected. Let's see. Let me double check on my end. Should be live. Okay, we can hear you and see you. Perfect. Thank you, Crystal. Can you hear the music in the back or no? They may or may not have music. And to anybody that's watching this on a rerun, I promise I'm gonna start live. Just some technical stuff that I need to work on. Let's see. Oh wait, maybe. Just let me hear it. Okay. Alright, cool. I'm just gonna start anyways. Crystal, appreciate it. Thank you. So, let's get started. Yo, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the show. If you're new here, my name is Mitchell. In today's episode, I'll be doing It's Better to Be Disliked for Who You Are Than Loved for Someone You're Not. And I do these YouTube lives every Saturdays at 12 p.m. Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you guys do find this video content of value, you guys can hit the like button, subscribe, and share with your friends. And if you want to help me out some more, there's a little thing on the bottom in the description. Go check it out there. That being said, recap episode. My recap episode that I will be talking about today will be There's an Echo. How bad is the echo? Hold on, let me see. Desktop audio. Mic, video camera. Let me hear it. Hold on. This is no good. Hold on. Testing. Okay. Oh yeah, there's an echo. That sucks. Video capture. Hold on. That's not good. Advanced properties. Audio. What if I just muted this? Would it help? What if I just muted that? Does that help? Let me see. Let me hear it. It sounds better. Hello? It's better. Okay, so you know what? I'm just gonna do it without music until I could get this figured out. Thank you. Appreciate it. Alright, so vulnerability is a superpower for the right people. I did this episode last year, April 13th, 2024. So if you guys want to go back to that episode, you can. The slide I'll be talking about is called Eager. And it's about eager. How eager do you want things? And I got a lot of quotes today. And so I hope you guys are ready to have your pen and paper ready, because this quotes, very quotables. That's what I call them, quotables. Jim Rohn and many other people are included. And so today, Jim Rohn said, all by itself, eager. Eager is kind of exciting. Kids are eager for their birthdays. They are expected to be at the center of attention. They get lots of presents and they eat a lot. They eat too much. But we can be eager to see old friends, eager to shop for a new car, eager sounds like a lot of fun. But how often do you ever hear people say that they want, or they're eager to live a better life, they're eager to have a better family, they're eager to make a lot of money, or they're eager to improve their health? How often do you hear that? Not very often. And so the backbone of an eager desire to change is discipline. At the very backbone of it is discipline. Discipline equals freedom. And so true ambition is discipline, eager desire. So if I want to be ready for that meeting tomorrow, I will need to finish preparing for it today. If I want to make sure I can pay for my kids' college tuition education, I will need to start saving money today. So if I want to live a better life tomorrow, I need to start working on it today. Whether it's your finances, whether it's your mental health, your physical state, whatever it may be, you got to work towards that. And so it's easy to have a want. Everybody has a want. It takes massive action, effort, and discipline to make a change in your life. A lot of people want a lot of things, but not many people are willing to make a change. So if I want to be a good person, well, start treating people better. Start treating yourself better. Understanding where you are most of the time emotionally. And when you do get emotional, how do you regulate that emotion? Do you let your reactions take over? Are you more taking a step back and then letting your response so that you could allow yourself a response? What are you doing? And so by taking a step back though and letting your reaction become your responses, then you have the ability to think before you do or speak. And how is this related to being vulnerable? Being vulnerable is allowing yourself to open up to the right people. This will allow you to understand yourself and lead you onto the road to a better life. And this, if you're on this channel and you're watching this, these are for people who wants to live a better life, not for people that wants to live a mediocre life. So I hope you understand that. If that's not for you, then this is not the place for you. But if you want a better life, if you don't like where you're currently at, that's why you're here and you're watching this, and maybe you're like, you know what, let me consume some of this knowledge, all right? And so I would like to go to the meat of the topic, which is the power of authenticity. The power of authenticity. Okay, so I'm going to start my first slide of it's better to be disliked for who you are than love for someone you're not. So let's talk about the power of authenticity. And Crystal, everything's still good? You still hear everything? I hope you're good. So the power of authenticity. So to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to change you or trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Ralph Waldo Emerson. And so society in itself, it favors conformity. Those who are accepted are not rejected, and therefore accepted into a community which may lead us to act in ways that is inorganic within ourselves. Because we want to conform, we want to be a part of a group, we want to be accepted. We don't want to be seen as an outsider, because outsiders, if you think of it in a more tribal, like dated all the way back, we're cavemen. If you are not in a group or a tribe, it is very, very, very hard to survive. Now, in today's world, it's a little bit different. You're not going to get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger or anything like that, unless you're out in the wild. But just to be excluded from other people, it's like it's still hardwired within us to want to be accepted, to connect with people, to feel loved. And so it's no wonder that a lot of people will do things to cope, to mask ourselves, fear rejection, etc., so that we could feel like we could conform and be accepted into a group of people that doesn't really understand who we are as a person. So it's like well, maybe if they see you, or maybe if they accept you now, eventually they'll accept who you are, but you're not really truly yourself to begin with. So it's like, well, where are you really standing? What kind of ground are you standing on? What's your foundation? So I'm gonna tell you a little story, which is when I was a kid, or I was a teenager, and I was in high school, and I wanted to be with the cool kids. Okay, I wanted to be with the cool kids, and that meant that I kind of forced my way in a sense, or manipulated my way in, because honestly, they didn't really care too much about me. They treated me poorly in a group, but that didn't matter. To me, that didn't matter, because it meant that I had a place to sit when the lunch bell rang, and I got to chill with the cool kids. I'm cool, right? And so, but I was at this one place where I was, number one, I was unwelcomed. I was accepted, or I was accepting hollow approval, what I would call like the whole IKEA type of wood frame, hollow woods. You know, there's always that gap in between, right? There's nothing solid, and this type of acceptance from other people that really didn't matter to me. And you know, quite frankly, I don't remember any of their names. No, I don't remember any of their names. It's so really, how important were those people in my life? It wasn't really that important. I just didn't want to sit alone. It meant that I was not a loner. That's what it was. And occasionally, I would hang out with my other friends, but you know, I didn't want to just sit there and be picked on, because playing Pokemon cards or whatever at the time was considered very nerdy. You kind of, people laugh at you. But you know, if we fast forward it to today, my real friends to this day are still the people that, you know, I've always collected Pokemon cards with. I still remember the best times of going out and buying booster packs and opening it $2-3 a pack. When you didn't have money, $2-3 was a lot. And you know, it's very interesting. Now, hindsight being 2020, we look back and we laugh at it. But then at the time, it was very difficult to accept, because it's like, well, I do kind of have a place to sit down and eat lunch, but you know, it meant that I was getting picked on, and I was like, well, is it better to survive and not be treated or accepted as well in this group of cool kids, or go over here where you don't feel like you're more welcome, but other people pick on you? So I had to kind of choose, and it's either that or just sit alone. And so, but like I said, to this day, my friends are still the friends that I like collect cards with. And so instead of accepting this hollow type of acceptance from people that really didn't matter, I started leaning towards more into a more solid foundation for myself, which was knowing what I liked and going for it. And that was not easy. That wasn't easy. So to give you an example of that, was it conditioned me to just stick it through, to like, and basically leave the group of cool kids and just stick it through, and just, you know what, just do what you like, Mitchell. People are gonna make fun of you regardless. I mean, as long as you enjoy, you're not hurting nobody, it's fine. You can do what you want to do. So I just stuck around, played Pokemon, and enjoyed it. And then little by little, we started moving towards different things. We started doing things differently, meaning that they enjoyed Pokemon, but they also, you know, moved on to different games as well. I moved on into dancing, and I moved on into video games and things like that. So little by little, I started moving away from that. And like I said, it becomes very scary, especially when you're doing stuff that is not popular at the time. Like, there's no such thing as social. Was it social media? No, I don't think social media was a thing yet. I don't remember, no. So yeah, word to like it was very difficult at the time. So instead of having this acceptance, this hollow acceptance from people that didn't matter, building this solid foundation, I moved towards dancing. I've always enjoyed dancing, and that's something that brought me a lot of joy, brought me a lot of happiness, and I kept it very close. It was authentic, it was real, and so that's why till this day I still dance. I enjoy it. And then, of course, whatever you do, you're always going to encounter resistance. No matter what you do, you're going to encounter resistance. So some of the resistance that I was encountering when I was trying to be my authentic self was, I heard a lot of people say, look, oh, who do you think you are? You think you're the next Michael Jackson? You want to be MJ? You're like this Asian Usher. Usher at the time was, you know, he was the guy at the time. We didn't have Chris Brown yet. No, not yet. And so, you know, like I said, hindsight being 2020, we laugh about it. But like I said, it was tough. Staying true to who you are is not easy. And also, it didn't help that, like, not a lot of Asian people danced at the time. So, moving on to resistance. So, when you embrace who you are as a person authentically, because it's better to be disliked for who you are than loved for someone you're not. And when you embrace who you are, you will eventually encounter resistance from yourself or from others. Resisting change can lead to persistence of circumstances that you want to escape from. So, a quote that, I don't know who said this. I heard it from Coach Corey Wayne, my coach. He talked about, or he says, whatever you resist persists. So if you want something to change, but you resist that change, it's not going to change. So it's no different than the definition. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing, expecting different results. So, social conformity. I talked about it earlier. We feel the need to conform so we can be accepted by a group of people. But then that also means that we might suppress ourselves from who we really are because we don't want to be viewed as different. Need a tissue. It's so cold in here. Alright, so the next one is the fear of rejection. No one wants to feel rejected, so if someone believes that revealing their true self could lead to a negative reaction from other people, that fear of rejection, they take a step back from being who they really are. And so what they end up doing is they take a step back and they be like, well, let me pretend to be someone I am not, aka masking. So you're protecting yourself. Masking can act as a coping mechanism against other people trying to harm you. So, because if you're accepted, you are no longer an outsider. Or, also, it can also be part of who you are, having low self-esteem. People with low self-esteem or low self-worth might feel the need that they need to present more of a positive image of themselves or appear more likable or appear more competent. And you just, so to me that just rings. Do you guys ever know that one person that seems like they know everything? They just sound like they know everything. Like you bring up a subject, they're like, oh yeah, you need to do this, you need to do that, you got this, you got that. And it's like, well, they got no skills in that. Or if you talk about relationships, they're like, oh yeah, this, and they just have like the worst relationships. Or none of the relationships last very long, but they always seem to have something to say. Like, you gotta be really careful telling people or listening to people like that, because they sound very convincing, because they sound like they're very competent, but they need to appear more likable or appear more competent in order to feel good about themselves. And these are people with very low self-esteem that needs a lot of validation from other people. And so you got to be very cautious. You got to vet these people properly. And I'm not saying don't be their friends or, you know, if they're family members. I'm just saying that you just got to be careful and protect yourself, and you got to protect your peace. And the major question is, what after, social conformity, fear of rejection, masking, and having low self-esteem, the major question to you is, what do you do when you encounter resistance? What do you personally do when you encounter resistance? Do you face fear, or do you run the other way? So, if you look at your life now, currently, your life is a sum of what you've been running away from and what you're willing to embrace and face. So if you find yourself running away more often than not, then you're positioning yourself to that type of life, and that's a choice. You choose to live that way, which is usually the easier way. It's easier to run away. It's easier to ignore problems. It's easier to pretend that we just didn't have a huge argument and just sweep things under the rug. This is Jim Rohn's quote, so I wanna make sure. Jim Rohn. What you have at the moment, you've attracted by the person you become. Let me repeat that again. What you have at the moment, you have attracted by the person you become. Don't wish things was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. So he said that start the process today. At latest tomorrow, give yourself a night to think it over. And if you just allow yourself to take a step back, to really think, where am I currently at? Are the people I'm around, do they excite me? Or do I feel like I have to put on this mask around certain people so that I can feel like I'm being liked? Or you take another step back and you look at it from the third person perspective, and you basically let the chips fall where they may. You be who you are authentically, because you can't change the circumstances, but you can change what you do, and you can change yourself. And despite the noise that you hear from outside, you choose to value your own voice more than the validations from others. And that is where you can start living within yourself more authentically. Know that everyone in your life, they come and go. No one ever stays, even in marriage, right? Not to sound morbid, but even marriage ends, either in death or divorce. It's either one of those. And so, know that everyone comes and goes into your life. And whoever that comes into your life, whether they're good for you or bad for you or whatever, that their gift to you is a gift of life and experience. And so you can see things half full. And also, it would be fair to you or fair for them to force anybody to stay in your life, or trying to manipulate certain ways so that they could stay, or bribe your way into them staying. Because I see it more often than not in relationships, in intimate relationships and friendships and things like that. It doesn't matter. In any relationship, forcing them to stay is not loving. And you must, Thich Nhat Hanh did say, I'm going to quote Thich Nhat Hanh, he says, you must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. And so, this leads me to my third slide, which is the greatest gift. So I'm going to take a quick break. If anyone's still in here, say something, type something, because I don't see it. Like I said, this is my first time using this. Okay. So, let's talk about the greatest gift. The greatest gift you can give to anyone is the gift of your time. The greatest gift you can give yourself is the gift of living authentically. So I'm going to say that one more time, okay? The greatest gift that you can give to anyone is the gift of your time. The greatest gift you can give yourself is the gift of living authentically. So who you are, who you want to become, and where you want to be. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you. And so that's super important. It's super important to understand what are your gifts and how do you build that value Because if you're not living authentically and organically within yourself, it is going to be very, very difficult to convey that to other people consistently. It's gonna be it's gonna be impossible. Like eventually you're gonna crack and it's not gonna be who you are, and you're like, well, this sucks. So yeah, be careful. Be careful of how you want to live your life. You get to choose it, but what you choose matters too as well. And so, and if you're not living authentically and giving your time to someone, or your authentic time to someone, you're not going to have a good time, and they're going to sense that. And you just have to understand that human beings are one of the greatest lie detectors. You get, for some reason, I don't know how it is, okay? You can get past here and there, but eventually someone's going to call you on your bullshit. And so, we're very good at detecting, especially women. They have this like sixth sense of understanding, like, you know what, something doesn't feel right. I don't know what it is, but you know what, I'm gonna take a step back and avoid this person before it gets in too deep or too late. So we're human beings are very good at detecting things, whether it's right or what feels wrong or something feels a little awkward or weird, and so or things that just don't match up. So my question to you is, what is holding you back from sharing your gifts to the people who deserves your time? So the time that you could give to yourself living authentically is what you could give out to other people that could value the gift of your time. But if you don't value yourself and you don't really care much about yourself, it's not much of a gift to another person. That the gift of your time is not that important to them because you haven't really done anything. You can't give what you don't have. So you don't live authentically within yourself. What makes you think that you can give that gift of your time and they're going to appreciate the time that you give to them? So it's not a gift until you make it a gift for yourself. It must come from you first. So, what is holding you back? What is holding you back? Is it the need of self-validation so you can feel good about yourself in the moment? And there's a quote that I don't know who said this, and I said this before, but the longer you entertain what's not for you, the longer you postpone what is. The longer you entertain what is not for you, the longer you postpone what is. And human beings, we will do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. So you have to understand that this is not for the weak, and it's not for the one who wants to live a mediocre life. This is for people that wants to live an extraordinary life. A great life, a life that's, they're like, well, I have this one life, I was blessed. Just think about the lottery, okay? Everyone on this earth, anyone that's watching this, or just anyone on this earth that is here today, got the greatest gift of a chance of life. Because, I mean, you're competing with like millions, and you made it. You made it. Why? Why wouldn't you take advantage of that situation and live the best life that you can? Why not? And so, like I said, it's not for the weak. It's not for the people that wants to live a mediocre life. You have one shot at life, and how you want it, you already won the biggest lottery. And you can argue that something is working for you, right? Something works for you now. And that you don't really need to change. And I would argue that people want a great life. It's just people are not willing to work for it. Excuse me. But there comes a point. You have to understand that in any area of your life, there has to become a point where things might be working for you. Whether or not it worked for you or not, the question still kind of remains where, is it healthy for you to live like that? Is it healthy? So, you might be a person that, smokes that Mary J every night or every day, and to you it works for you. It works, but it has to come to a point whether it works for you or not. Is it something that is healthy for you? Because if you think about it in this aspect of, especially people in the medical field, and you see it all the time, it's like people that have all the money in the world, they're enjoying their life. They want a lot of things. People in a hospital, they only just want one thing. They just want to get better. They want to get better. And so, moving on to my last slide, which is loving and respecting yourself. And I wrote a quote too. I was kind of proud, but I just mixed it. I can't say I take full credit, but I was kind of excited. I was like, Mitchell, you did it. So, and I'll let you know when I say it. So, loving and respecting yourself, right? Still on this topic of it's better to be disliked for who you are than love for someone you're not. And I do want to preface this too, where I'm not saying like, oh, go out there and treat people bad
who you are.
because that's who you are.
It means that
you still got to work on
you
yourself. You got to improve maybe some of the word choices.
Maybe it's your tone.
Sometimes it's
speed that you talk.
I talk fast. Okay, I talk fast.
And I try to slow it down.
From time to time.
It's
you gotta do things to work on yourself to improve yourself. So it doesn't mean that
this is who I am.
I'm an asshole, so I'm just gonna treat people poorly. It's like, well, if you know you're treating people poorly and it's hurting their feelings, and you find yourself constantly
having people
leave you, then it's like, well, maybe it's me. Maybe I need to change the way I have to change the way I communicate with people. That way, more people are willing to stay. More people are willing to listen,
and
they want your time and your company because that is how you could kind of.
Is it
quantify? Is it me or is
you sounding double?
I don't know. I don't know. Wait. Let me see. I don't know. Let me try it out. Give me 1 sec. No, it sounds fine.
Okay. So my last slide is loving and respecting yourself. That heaters.
So loving and respecting yourself. When you become someone you're truly happy about.
You love who you are. Where you at? Still growing, of course. And the people you're with. You no longer tolerate people who doesn't value you
in your time.
Because like I said,
the greatest gift that you can give to anybody is the gift of your time. The greatest gift that you can give to yourself is a gift of living authentically.
And so
when you can live authentically and you love yourself, you love where you're at. It doesn't mean that you don't have bad days. I'm just saying, like,
you know what, your bad days
could still be great days because you found a solution. You always find a way back into yourself. And that's very important because then other people could value you're allowing yourself
to have
other people to value your time. So then now you set the tone for yourself that you don't allow others to violate
your time, your effort, and
your presence.
So life is about setting boundaries that you do not allow others to cross.
That's it.
Setting and enforcing
healthy boundaries.
Because there are snakes in the grass
and they will bite.
Weakness
invites aggression.
And so there's a quote by Stephen King, which is "Fool me once,
shame on you." I'm pretty sure you heard of that.
Fool me twice,
shame on me.
Fool me
three times, shame on both of us.
So first time's on you,
second time's on me. Eventually, if it happens more often than not, guess what?
It's on both of us.
We're both just at fault.
So you can't just blame
them if it happened more than two times. You can't blame them. It's like, well, why you put yourself in that situation?
It's
a choice.
And Dr. Wayne Dyer
says, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
So there's the quote
that I wrote.
That I kind of mixed in.
Listen to many, but speak with your own, right?
And so, loving and respecting yourself means setting and enforcing healthy boundaries while following principles that align with your goals and values. Loving and respecting yourself
means setting and enforcing healthy boundaries
while following
principles that align with your goals and values.
So what are your goals?
What are your values?
And having good morals, integrity. That's very important.
Also with integrity is doing the right thing even when no one's looking.
Even when no one's
watching.
And so that's
very important.
If you follow it consistently
to where
you want to live, nobody can ever
just know how grounded you are as a person.
You're not easily swayed,
which also means that you're less of a liability because you're more emotionally regulated.
And so I want to share another story. Of what happened
during
the time when I was
working at Starbucks.
It was an
interesting story.
Well, not really interesting.
Things like this happen all the time, right?
The moral of this story later,
as I'm gonna be telling you, it's
just something that
felt right at the time.
I couldn't explain it.
I couldn't put my finger on it.
But it's just something that felt right.
So I remember when I was working
at Starbucks.
And this is when before I kind of knew what was right and wrong. I didn't know
books
read any books about it or anything. It just felt like something that I needed to do.
So my
manager at the time blamed me for something that.
Blame me for something
right in front of her superior, which is also my superior, the district manager. Okay.
And
of course, I was pissed off. I was upset. But I wasn't gonna make a big fuss about it.
Not right there.
I was gonna do it later. I was like, ooh.
If I could just
point you out right now, it wouldn't be me. It would be you, right?
So afterwards, I
pulled my manager to the side after the district manager left. I said to her, I was like, hey, I didn't really appreciate what happened earlier. She's like, why?
And so I did what you told me to do. It just wasn't enough. And then you told me to go on my 10-minute break and things like that. And I was like, well, I wish if it wasn't enough before I went on my break that you told me, and I wish you communicated that with me instead of making me look bad in front of the district manager.
And
what I appreciate
most was the next day she wrote me a card, and I don't know if I still have that card or not. But
she wrote me this
card and she apologized for it. She was like, I forgot what it says, but she
somewhere along
the lines of
I really appreciate
you
telling me this
and not in front of everybody.
Like
you pulled me.
After every
privately basically, and just spoke to me about it,
you weren't
upset about it. You just expressed your frustration.
So in other words,
I wasn't reacting to it, which I wanted to.
It was more of a
take a step back, and I want to
articulate
some of what I want to say. And like I said, this was before I knew what was right and wrong.
And
like I said, she wrote me this apology card on it, and I thanked her. I was like, thank you for understanding, because
I don't always handle
things like this.
To me, that was something
that felt right at the time. That was something that felt right.
So and lastly, I do want to say that
sometimes we forget that we're still working with humans. Sometimes.
Most of the time,
we forget that we're working for humans.
At least
I don't know for how long before AI takes over.
But we're still working with people.
And so
when you're working with
people, it's very important to understand that. If you're grounded and you're centered and you're not as emotionally disturbed or perturbed,
you're able to take a step back and not think about yourself too much, and you're able to think about other people so that you can understand from them their perspective. Having empathy. And that's something that's not easy. I still struggle with that to this day. I am getting better at it.
It's just
we all have
things to work on, and I believe in the process.
But that being said, guys, that is the show. I'm gonna go over some of the summaries of what I talked about just now. So if you guys want to stay for the summary, here it is. All right. So summary. PowerPoint number one. Power of authenticity. So to be yourself in a world that constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Society favors conformity. Those who are accepted are not rejected. So that's why it may lean towards other people acting in ways that's not organic within themselves, so that they can feel like they're accepted. So resistance. When you embrace who you are, you will eventually encounter resistance. That's no matter what you do, you can't have everyone like you. Someone will always have something to say. When you embrace who you are, you're gonna encounter that resistance, and it's just one of those things. You might as well be who you are, and like for who you are, then having other people that you really don't really care about like you. So you let the chips fall where they may, because you cannot change the circumstances, but you can change what you do. Despite the noise, you choose to value your own voice more. The greatest gift. So the greatest gift that you can give to anyone is the gift of your time. The greatest gift you can give to yourself is the gift of living authentically. So loving and respecting yourself means that you're setting and enforcing healthy boundaries while following principles that aligns with your goals and values. So you have to understand, like, what do you value most? What are you willing to do even when no one's looking? So integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. That being said, I know it's a 45-minute show, but I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It is better to be disliked for who you are than love for someone you're not. And I will let's see, 28. Okay, so I might not be able to do a live for another 2 weeks because I will be gone. My next live will be on the 15th of March. So this will be my last official YouTube live for the next 2 weeks, and I'll be back. So if you have any questions, leave it down in the comment below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in a few weeks. All right, peace. And how do I end this? So let's see. I'm still learning. How do you end this? Okay.